In today's video, I want to share with you a simple framework that changed my life. And this is actually a 3-step system that anybody can follow to help you stand out on YouTube right now. Truth is that competition is rising, but there's still massive opportunity on YouTube. And so we're going to be breaking down the 5 mistakes that keep people stuck from their channel not growing, from sort of just blending in with the sea of sameness. And instead, by following this framework, we're going to learn how to stand out on YouTube, get more views, and grow in a 2025 environment. This is the YouTube brand blueprint, how small channels can grow fast in a crowded YouTube space. And I think about the story of David and Goliath, when I think about the challenges on YouTube right now. It's a great picture of the challenges, kind of just in online marketing and social media. David, a young shepherd, faced the giant Goliath, a seemingly invincible warrior who's terrorizing his people. And sometimes the YouTube algorithm and like making content and standing out, it seems invincible. It seems impossible. And David had many disadvantages: his size, his strength, his experience. He was a total underdog, which in 2025, I don't blame you for feeling that way. Like, there's established YouTubers, they got bigger budgets. There's established business owners. They have years of a head start. So you might feel like my channel is small. I don't have the strength, the resources. I don't have the experience. But when you think about it, despite his size and strength disadvantage, David, armed with only a sling, stones, and faith, ultimately defeated Goliath. Well, what are some of the insights? One, David didn't try to fight Goliath on his own terms. He used his unique advantage to position himself for victory. And so in this session, we want to be discovering your unique advantage. As a new YouTube creator, you might feel small against established giants. How do you overcome the odds and how do you find success? Well, we're not going to fight the competition based on their strength. We want to identify your slingshot, your strength, to position you to win. So in today's session, we're going to go through this proven framework for turning your YouTube channel into a profitable business. We're going to cover the 5 common mistakes that hurt YouTube growth, the secret weapon top YouTubers use to build magnetic brands that attract loyal viewers, and how to achieve part-time or full-time income sooner than you ever thought possible. In fact, I'm about to save you 3 years of painful YouTube mistakes that I made myself. See, the framework that we're going to be talking about, I needed when I started, and it's the exact system that finally unlocked my channel's growth. And in just a few minutes, you're going to figure out what took me years to figure out. See, these eventually, I got a silver play button, 3 of them, a gold play button, but I didn't start there. I started with a small channel, disadvantaged, without much resources, with no audience, starting at 0, which is where everybody starts, right? And I started with uncertainty, no skill, and a massive case of imposter syndrome. But even what happened next is kind of funny, because I'm like, all right, let me start making some videos. And so here was one of the first videos I made. It was about my quarter life crisis. I made it at 28. I don't know if that's quarter life, but if you're living to 100. And if you look at this video, you would have thought like, okay, I'm about to have like a fitness channel or something, right? And so really, I was the ultimate jack of all trades YouTuber, jumping from niche to niche like a caffeinated kangaroo. Because then shortly thereafter, I posted a travel video with doing a GoPro in this Las Vegas Fremont experience kind of thing. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to be a vlogger. I'm going to be a travel vlogger. So I'm like fitness YouTuber to travel vlogger. I have 0 credentials to do really anything. And then next I was a cooking channel. So of course that'd be the logical next video, right? Then it was like recipe for garlic green beans. And what's funny is if you look closely on that video got 72,000 views, which kind of went to my head at first. All of a sudden I was like, maybe I should really double down on cooking. Like, I must be Anthony Bourdain. Like, I am Martha Stewart, like 72,000 views. But it was kind of sending me in the wrong direction. I had so many different ideas, and maybe you can relate. Do you have multi-passions, multi-channels you want to start, multiple different ideas for your channel? Do you feel stuck and constrained? Like, I don't want to niche down. I need to express myself. I need to express my creativity. You're not alone if you feel that way. But it actually got worse because then I posted a video about tech reviews and I stumbled onto like a really good idea. It's what I ended up doing today, which is ironic because I should have stuck with it, but nope, didn't stick with it. Instead pivoted to movie reviews. And so then I posted my amazing Spider-Man movie review. Have you seen it? Exactly. Neither has anybody else. Like it was not a successful pivot. So then I changed and switched back to vlogging. And as you can see, this is my Las Vegas horseback riding episode. And so I was all over the place. And my poor subscribers, you know, the few of them that there were probably thinking, what is this channel even about? Like, what are you doing? And again, after all of that, I wasn't done. I convinced myself that daily vlogging was the answer. If I just posted enough content, fame would magically appear, right? Spoiler alert, that's not how any of this works. And so this kind of reveals a couple common creator mistakes. There's 5 of them. One is creating without strategy. Like one of the things that can happen is we start YouTube, right? And we start posting content, but like there's no plan, there's no strategy to it. That was definitely what I did, right? I post my first video, I'm all over the place. Another mistake is chasing trends without expertise or experience. So jumping on trends is a great opportunity on YouTube. We recommend it. We teach it in our program, but just chasing trends that you don't have a passion for or depth in or any experience in or any sustained curiosity about, you know, I was kind of like just all over the place, kind of chasing views instead of starting with the end in mind and a better approach, which is what we're going to cover in today's 3-part framework. Now, another thing I lacked was clear channel identity. I mean, I had an identity crisis. Like, you know, oh, Sean, that's that movie review vlogger, travel, fitness guy, you know, right? Who's doing tech reviews. Wow, that's a lot of conflicting ideas. And so creators struggle if you don't have a clear channel identity. How can anyone really follow you? And how can they even know what your channel is about or why they should follow you? And every year this gets more important because there's just too much noise and too much content in the world for me to land on your YouTube channel and not understand if it's something I'm interested in or not. It's worth writing this down. If you confuse, you lose. If your brand is confusing, your channel is confusing, if your last 10 videos are posted and I'm like, I don't even know maybe, what is this channel about? If you confuse, you lose. What is the clear channel identity? Now, another mistake is having no monetization plan. Random efforts, random videos, a random approach with no money plan leads to an empty bank account. And that was certainly my experience. Because even if you do gather enough views, because you get lucky on one of your green beans cooking videos and actually do get subscribers and do get views, the problem is your AdSense checks could be $2 or $20 or even $200 or even $2,000, but you're grinding your face off and you're still falling short of your mortgage. You still don't really have like an online business. You just have these random hoping to go viral, hoping to get magically famous, and the approach is doomed to fail. Number 5 is spreading yourself too thin. I was spreading myself too thin. See, I made all these mistakes. I was, you know, it's kind of hard to make a plan. I'm just doing all this different stuff. I don't blame people being confused publicly because it's like I was confused internally. You know, one of the things I've learned about leadership, which I really believe content creators and YouTubers are leaders, because you are gathering followers and subscribers that are following you somewhere, even if that's to be funny or on a journey, or that's cooking, or that's fitness, or that's how to save money on your taxes. You're like, oh, that's my go-to person. Like, that's the person. But how can anybody follow you if you don't know where you're going? So we're going to be unpacking today a framework that's going to help us get aligned with who are you? What are your values? What is your vision? What is your passion? How does that align with what the market wants? And so that you don't feel fragmented and frazzled and all over the place, but that you're able to get some clarity for moving faster and getting better results. So everything changed for me when I discovered what I call the 3P framework. And we have 3 tips today. And tip number 1 is this 3P framework. And so I want you to use the 3P framework to identify your most powerful and profitable channel topic. And I want you to be open-minded If you're starting from scratch, you're in a great spot because you really have a blank slate on which to build. But I also want to challenge you. Maybe you've been doing YouTube for a while. Maybe you actually have an established channel. And one of the reasons you may be stuck or not growing is because you are not aligned with your best channel topic. You're not aligned with ultimately your strengths and what the market is demanding. And so if you're in the wrong place, like you want to be at the right time, you want to be in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. You want to get alignment, and this 3P framework will help you whether you're established or just starting from scratch. And so you could draw a Venn diagram in 3 circles overlapping. And let's break each of these down. And this is going to be kind of like an interactive workshop for you to think through your channel and your brand. And the first of the 3 Ps is passion. The first is the 3 Ps is passion. And so here's your goal though. Even if you're established, I want to challenge you to write down 5 to 10 passions right now. 5 to 10 things that would qualify as a passion for you. Now, what could that include? What is the thing you love to do so much you would do it for free? Put that on the list. What do you enjoy? What lights you up? Now, here's an interesting one. What pisses you off? This identifies deeper and authentic passion. What breaks your heart and makes you cry? The thing that makes you cry is a lot of times a clue of your why. You want a why that makes you cry. The thing that breaks your heart, the thing like, man, I want to see change in that. I want to see a difference. It shows you're passionate about it. If you're kind of neutral, you're like, yeah, I mean, that issue matters, but it doesn't like stand out to me. So the thing that makes you angry, you know, what's kind of funny is AVLS, audio, video, lighting, stabilization. Whenever, because of my background in church communications, and probably because of partly of my God-given DNA, if I see bad production, I see somebody that's doing like announcements or on stage and the audio's bad or there's feedback or the lighting's weird or the sound is weird, like I actually get like my central nervous system like flags. Like, what the heck is going on? Like, why don't they fix this? What are the sound guys doing? Why is the person taking so long? Like, well, even what kind of like frustrates me and irritates me was a clue to my passion for video, for audio, for production, for making, for good communication. And I want you to write down 5 to 10 things though. Don't be overly judgmental. Now, what are you also curious about? What do you research? So if you were to go to Barnes and Noble, for those who live on the internet and only have heard of audiobooks, there's a thing called physical books. And there's these old things called bookstores that used to exist and libraries, right? So if you were to go to a library or a bookstore, what section would you go to? What section would you gravitate to? For me, like as much as I try to look around at everything, I find myself in business and in self-help. I got to, self-help, leadership, personal development, and business, and then marketing. And like, I just live in those sections. And I might, find my way over to science fiction. And now these days I'll find my way over to the kids books, looking for cool kids books. But I always come back. And it's funny because I will try to expand my reading. But next thing you know, I'm buying like another leadership and marketing book. Like that speaks to my passion. Now, a couple other things to consider here. Can you see yourself? There's 5 to 10 things here on the list. Can you see yourself still passionate about this topic in 3 to 5 years? James Clear said, knowledge is the compound interest of curiosity. What are you curious about? So in our exercise together, I want you to write down 5 to 10 passions that are at some level connected to what you do for free. What do you enjoy? What irritates you? What lights you up? And then you might want to eliminate some now. You could cross some out. Like, do you want to be associated with this topic or this niche in the next 3 to 5 years? If you really think about building a brand, I think that some of us, I know we're like dabbling in YouTube and this whole idea, like, I'm not going to commit to YouTube all in, like I want to just dabble. That's fine. However, I think we miss out on the fact that great things take time. They take compound effort. And a lot of times we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in 3 to 5 years. So by choosing a passion where you say, I'm going to give this a proper shot, you want to get liftoff to this thing, That's why it's like, if you keep coming back to the personal development and business section of the bookstore, you're in good hands. Cause I'm going there anyways. Like whether I'm doing YouTube or not, that's like what I'm reading. That's what I'm interested in. So that curiosity is a fuel that keeps me going. Again, James Clear said, knowledge is the compound interest of curiosity. So you wrote down 5 to 10 things. Maybe you cross them off because you're like, yeah, 3 to 5 years from now, though, I don't think I would do that one. I don't think I would do that one. But now we're going to go to the next P, which is proficiency. Proficiency. And what we want to do now is filter through those 5 to 10 passions you wrote down even more and eliminate them. And so proficiency, here's the questions. What are you skilled or experienced at? Now, the mistake people make is they think that you have to have like a PhD, be an expert, like somebody at some point in your life came to you with a giant sword or lightsaber and knighted you and was like, you are officially ready to start your YouTube channel. You have reached enlightenment. You are ready to bless the world with your wisdom. And I knight you. Man, if you did it with a lightsaber, though, it's like, bro, you just burnt and cut my shoulder. Okay. Proficiency, if you have experience at it, you just need to be a few steps ahead. So it's kind of like, if you think about a career, like you're a service provider, you get into construction or you get into like real estate. After you've done it for a year, you've learned a lot of mistakes. You've studied a lot that year. You have some level of doing the thing. Like if you were going to do parenting, it's not that somebody came to you and were like, you are officially the perfect parent. There's no such thing. But if you've raised a couple kids and you have, a 5-year-old and 8-year-old, and like your house is somehow in order at somewhat, and the kids are somewhat behaved and like socially acceptable, there's some level of like then other parents like me need help. Okay. So what's your wisdom? Like start sharing it. It just means experience, skill. You figured out a way to do something. So what are you most proficient at? What are you good at? What do you have results in? Now, of course, here's the goal, is the higher you score, the better. Because sometimes you're like, man, we sometimes dishonor our own greatness, honestly. Like the thing that you're really good at kind of comes natural to you, but like you get distracted because you want to do this thing over here. It is interesting, even when it comes to video, is sometimes you can get bored with the thing you've been doing for so long, but that could be where your genius is. I've been doing video for 22 to 23 years, since 2003. And so there's a lot of opportunity for me to get bored with video. I have to keep like even selling myself on the vision, like due to my life circumstances, as well as my passion, but also of me just committing and being disciplined. I just have a lot of experience to share here. It's my strength zone. And I want to be effective on YouTube. And I also want my YouTube channel to be able to fund or impact other things that I'm doing. So the greater the level of proficiency, what you could do is score these things on a scale from 1 to 10. On a scale from 1 to 10 of your 5 to 10 passions, where are you at? And then on a scale from 1 to 10, as you're narrowing it down, what level of proficiency do you have? Any big milestones? You got a certification, you got an award, you got a degree, you ranked number 1 at your company, you ranked number 1 in that monthly competition with the employees, you graduated with that thing, you got that apprenticeship, and another way to put, you don't have to be a crazy expert super far ahead, especially because the largest market in any industry is beginners. So just consider this. There's a bunch of people that are starting day one, and that's the information they need. So you could write this down. What do you have a 10% edge in? A 10% head start. You're just a few steps ahead. So if you have a 10% edge, you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I had actually the worst 24 months ever. And I learned so many lessons. Now I can vulnerably share how to solve that problem from everything I just learned in the last 24 months. I'm not 20 years of experience, but I have a few years under my belt. I got a 10% edge. And your experience should be deep enough to provide genuine value and insights. And I don't want to like minimize the proficiency that your success on YouTube, you're not entitled to it. So you do want to pick an area that you actually can go deeper than just the surface level, real insights, real value. These days, you can look up anything on AI. And so we're living in a new world where anybody can chat GPT and get a list of really good content, like a list of great points. But it's interesting because Google has this ranking factor they call EEAT, which speaks to proficiency in genuine experience. It stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. You could write that down. So Google's saying, in a world where information is very common, what is more rare is your story, your uniqueness, your experience, your expertise, your authoritativeness, and your trust. That's proficiency. And if you can rank high at those, oh yeah, I got some stories under my belt. I've actually done it. I didn't just research it on ChatGPT. I actually went through that painful process. I had to pay those fines. I had to deal with that issue. I had to go through that experience. I gained some expertise in it. I got some wisdom. I have some authority because of that. And maybe you have. And so out of these lists now of these ideas of what your YouTube channel could be about, we're asking ourselves, okay, I've wrote down 5 to 10 passions. Now I'm narrowing them down through the lens of proficiency, which brings us to the third P. And this is just tip number 1 of our 3 tips for how to stack our YouTube brand blueprint. Because when you use this framework and what I'm about to share with you in number 2, it gets really interesting. But the next one's going to be profit. And this is so important. The question is there market demand for this topic? How big is the market demand for this topic? What is the monetization potential for this topic? And you want to answer this question: what problem do you solve? Because people buy solutions to problems. One definition of entrepreneurship is entrepreneurs are people who solve problems for a profit. So the degree with which you can clarify in your channel strategy the problem that you solve, and let me challenge you, try to sum it up in one word. Try to sum it up in one word. This is interesting too, because, I wrote the book YouTube Secrets. So you might say, what problem do you solve? YouTube? Kinda, because if you want to learn YouTube, you're clearly here. But as I think about it, I solved the problem of obscurity. Business owners that need leads or try to get leads. YouTube's a way to do it, but what do they ultimately want? Also, maybe the problem of money. Okay, YouTube is a vehicle towards earning money on the side. So dig deep when it comes to your problem. It's nice if you're associated, like it's helpful that my brand has become associated with being the YouTube guy. But then it's also, what's the deeper problem? Significance, make money, save money, have more deeper relationships, have impact. And so thinking about what is the problem that you solve? People buy solutions to problems, and brainstorm what could people buy from you? So if I look at my 5 to 10 passions and then narrow them down into the proficiencies, then you start thinking about, okay, now score those on a 1 to 10 and now narrow it all the way down to profit and say, which of these topics would be the easiest to monetize? Which of these topics has a clear audience seeking solutions they're willing to pay for? Think about this. Which of these audiences has the most money? These are the questions a lot of people wouldn't share with you. If you are hoping to make significant money, now I know YouTube can pay you for views, but if you're hoping to make significant money, it would make sense to be in a niche or a niche where people have more means to invest in products and services, right? Let me put it this way. If you're reaching a younger audience, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, yes, advertising, but like they might not be able to spend money in the same way that a baby boomer audience will. Gen X and baby boomers have a lot more disposable income. So even when you start thinking about, okay, how's my channel positioned? Which of these channel topics could be most profitable? And the key here is the combination of all three. Overlapping all three to identify your most ideal, perfect channel topic. But now let's break some things down, because there's some issues if you lack one of the three. See, if you have passion and proficiency and that's it, but you don't have profit, then you have a hobby. Which that's cool. If your ambition is to do YouTube for creative expression and have fun, and you're like, I'm passionate about this, I'm pretty good at it, and I could go deep on this, great. I don't care about the money side, then you've got a great hobby. But don't email me later and be like, Sean, what you said didn't work. Yeah, no, it did work. You didn't follow the whole framework. You missed out on market validation and really thinking about a clear problem, a defining of what business do you want to be in? What is the business aspect of this, the business plan? Now, if you have profit and proficiency only, but you lack passion, you could be bored. This isn't good either. You're like, I can make good money at this. I'm also good at it. There's ways to monetize, but my heart's not in it. Never make moves unless your heart's in it. You know, it's like you do want that level of passion, because even though we can help you get results in the next month, the next 3 months, the next 6 months, remember the question is, are you still going to be curious and interested in this topic 3 to 5 years from now? See, I want to pick something, and this is interesting. I would choose to make less money, make sure there's enough money, but I'd make less money and have the passion than make the most money without the passion. Money should not be number one on our priorities list, but it should be on our list. Purpose, impact, significance should be at the top of the list, right? And, you know, our faith, our family, those things, those higher values, but we need money for the mission. But I might take less money so that my heart can be in it. Because if you only have the profit and the proficiency, you're going to get bored, and you're going to lose to the person that has the passion. Because the person that has the passion is resilient, man. They're relentless. Because when you've got that authentic passion, whether you have the greatest day ever, you wake up, sun shining, you feel like doing it, or whether you just got punched in the face, when you've got that real passion, you're unstoppable, right? You're relentless. You just keep going. So you want to make sure you have the passion as well. And if you've got the passion and the profit, though, you're like, Sean, I love this. It's a great idea. There's lots of ways to make money, but you don't have the proficiency. That's going to be a failed channel, because somebody with the experience, with the results, that's got the 10% edge, they're going to beat you. And so the key is finding for you. And I'm telling you, if you now pick out of the 5 to 10, maybe 15 or 20 different topics, and you then have the discipline to select the one that scores the highest. If you actually have trouble making decisions, use a scoring system. Passion, scale of 1 to 10. Proficiency, scale of 1 to 10. Profit, scale of 1 to 10. And then you got to be honest and self-aware, saying, yeah, my proficiency is like a 3. I talked to a guy the other day. I was with an entrepreneur friend of mine, and I asked him to score himself because he was asking me, hey, what channel should I start? And I said, well, think about a couple things. Like, who do you follow? Who else do you follow that you like? List out like 5 to 10 people. And he did that. He was thinking about it. And then I was like, and now also, what are you best at? There's the proficiency question. And, you know, what do you love? And he was like, well, like leadership, sales. And I said, okay, on a scale from 1 to 10, what level would you say you are at sales? And he was like, dog, like a 10. And I was like, what? Compared to who? You know, just, you know, like, what are we? And I guess it depends on how we're ranking ourselves. And I was like, so if you're a 10 at this topic of sales on the earth, you're a 10? I was just thinking in my mind, I was like, you don't even have any room for improvement. I don't know if we'd even be having this conversation if you're a 10. Like, and I guess it's supposed is like really where do you, this isn't about you beating yourself up. I'm not good enough. It's just being realistic. Cause like, if you're a 3 at a proficiency and a 6 at passion and a 4 on profit, like you could have a great living and go full time. It's about being realistic. And it was shocking. And once, you know, started talking about the guy once he left, you know, behind his back, but you know, we didn't really know, but I was talking, we're like, dude, how could he be a 10? I was like, at best, I'm pretty good at what I do. And I'm probably a 6. Like the 10 is probably going to be. So here's my challenge to you. Don't lean too far on like the beat yourself up, but like be realistic. What's your proficiency? What level of passion are you at? What level of profit are you at? Get yourself a solid score and then add those scores together to pick out that best topic for you. My friends, this is going to really help us to have maximum success on YouTube and find our sweet spot, our unique advantage. And we're not trying to beat somebody else. We're not trying to beat Goliath with his sword or Saul's armor, right? We're ultimately figuring out that our slingshot approach, which brings us to tip number 2. The secret weapon isn't being better, it's being different. So now once you've done this, here's the next question you might have. You might go, okay, well, Sean, even though I narrowed this thing down, like I figured out I'm into video too. You know, I'm like you, I'm into photography. Like, and isn't there other photography channels? Or like, I'm into cooking. Isn't there other cooking channels? Yeah, like tens of thousands. And there's not probably a niche, a topic on YouTube you're going to find that nobody else is doing. In fact, by the way, if you were to come up with an idea and you're like, Sean, I got one. It's so original. There is no other channels doing this idea. I think I'm on to gold. Let me encourage you. You're either on to like a 1% of 1% unicorn genius idea, but there's a 99% chance you're going to fail. Because the myth most people believe is they think competition is a bad thing when the reverse is true. Competition is a good thing. Why? If you can find other channels that are successful doing the thing that you want to do, it is proof there's market validation of this. So you should do your research and actually find 5 to 10 channels that are similar to what you want to create and not be intimidated and not be comparison to them, right? Comparison is the killer of creativity. Comparison is the thief of joy. It's not comparison so that it leaves you paralyzed. It's comparison. It's market research. And the good news, if you can find a channel with 100,000 subs, 500,000 subscribers, over 1 million subscribers, you're like, there's a big market. I could get my 10,000 subs. If there's a channel in this niche with 1 million subs, I could get 10,000. And we're going to be talking about tomorrow in session number 3, how to make big money with a small audience. You do not need a big audience to go full time. So I want to encourage you to trust the process and follow the 3 Ps and follow these 3 tips. And so market validation and identifying competitors, it is a good thing if there's competition. And if you say, Sean, I did my research, I can't find any channels doing the thing I want to do. That's a huge red flag for me. Because then I'm like, you either about to get the 1% lucky, but it's probably 99% because nobody wants to watch that. There is not a validated market for that. But in light of that, then you go, okay, but there's so many other channels. And how do I actually be different? Here's the secret. The secret weapon isn't actually being better than the competition. It's being different. And the secret to being different is your personality. Personality is the cornerstone for building a standout brand. Personality. Because even though 2 people talk about photography or 2 people talk about parenting, the difference is going to be their vibe, their style, their culture, their ethnicity, their age, their personality, whether they're stoic or whether they're sarcastic, whether they're a little bit more irreverent or whether they're more serious. Personality and identifying your slingshot, your sweet spot is the key to standing out on YouTube and making your niche unique to you. So, especially in a world, again, saturated with AI, your personality is a differentiator because you're a human. So you being more you and being more, here's what I'm asking you to do. You could write this down. I need all your weirdness. I need your quirks. I need the things that are actually, some of the things you're embarrassed by are going to be the exact connection points with your audience. The things that are like quirky and whatever, and actually some people don't like, that's the reason your friends like you. They're like, yeah, she's so weird. She snorts when she laughs. You know, it's like, the way to stand out is not to just be another commodity, your personality, your perspective, your point of view. So you could write some of these things down. How do we refine the personality? About you. What are 3 words that best describe your personality? 3 words. What is a quirky or unexpected interest that you have that might surprise people? Tell me those ones in the chat. What is a quirky, unexpected interest? You know, sometimes people connect with me when they start hearing that I was a DJ in high school. I had a license plate that said DJ Blaze. Macklemore in one of his songs said, that's what you get when Wu-Tang raised you. So you can see the clear reference to Method Man. And I was into underground hip hop and all this stuff. I actually got expelled from a Christian high school, private Christian school, for prodigal living. Then I turned, God changed my life, took a year at Bible school and became a Bible nerd, you know, absolutely like fell in love with Jesus and my life was changed. And so like, I've got these weird interests of like Wu-Tang meets the Bible. Like, how do you even handle that? I don't know. That's just kind of, and so, what life experience have shaped your perspective and the way you see the world? Your background, your uniqueness. I am not most people's cup of tea. We added it up. I got millions of subscribers over the years. I've lost 1 million subscribers. This is true. I've actually had 1 million people unsubscribe. I have a gold play button of rejection. Like, you think about being rejected by that many people? Last time I checked the census of Arlington, Washington, where I spent most of my childhood growing up, it was like 22,000 people. I've been rejected by my entire town like 50x over. It's painful, man. You go through that much rejection. Like, this is the thing. As you're creating content, it's going to be those quirks and those things. Like, don't fear rejection. You being you is what's actually going to attract the right people to you. Now, next category. What are your values and beliefs? What are gold play button of rejection? I wanted to see some of your, oh no, where am I going? Okay, here we go. Values and beliefs. We'll keep it focused here. What are you truly passionate about? Why does it matter to you? Why does it matter to you? What are some of the strong opinions and beliefs you hold that others might challenge or debate? What causes or issues do you care deeply about? How could you use your voice to make a difference? I care deeply about family values. I care deeply about my faith. I care deeply about high character and high ethic. I love social media, the YouTube world, influencers, but I also kind of almost like a father, because I am one, am concerned by having a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old boy and the influencers all over social media that they might follow. I don't think they're great leaders, a lot of them. I don't think they're good role models. But I'm not here to curse the darkness. These are people I love. I hope to be a positive influence in the creator economy. But from my standpoint, the values that I care about is hopefully helping purpose-driven people that want to see good in the world, people that want to see evil defeated, people that want to see education and entertainment. They want to see people uplifted. They want to see people motivated and encouraged and inspired and be a net positive. That's what I care deeply about that. And it drives and it fuels my perspective that I bring to YouTube. It's different than other people teaching YouTube. That's why personality is the cornerstone to building a standout brand. And that's why I hope you're encouraged. You identify your channel topic, but then you want to figure out what are your values and beliefs? And then what are your tastes and influences? What are your favorite books, movies, music? And what do you love about them? So, it's like today, I mostly listen to actually like classical music to stay focused when I'm working, kind of like ambient music. I listen to drum and bass, sub-focus when I'm working out or running. My DMB playlist for my roots in the rave culture. And I listen to hip hop, clean versions. And I still can only take so much because the not necessarily full lifestyle that I prescribe to. But this stuff is part of my influence, man. Different books that have influenced me, movies, music. What do you like? These are like touch points and connection points. I was raised on Star Wars. Come on, A New Hope. Come on, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Come on, Princess Leia. Come on, Chewbacca. I was trying to. What tries to do the? You know what I could do? Help you, I will. Okay, failed on Chewbacca. Pretty good Yoda, though, don't you think? Okay, relax. Who are your role models and inspirations, and what qualities you admire about them? What are some things you strongly dislike, and why do they bother you? I got opinions. So do you. I think not being afraid of your opinions, the things you have a taste for that you distaste. The world is way too easily offended right now. Like, everyone's getting offended about everything. And especially there's like real important issues and people get offended by the smallest things. Man, be bold about just what you like, dislike, your role models, your inspiration, all this different stuff. Why? Because personality is the cornerstone of building a standout brand. And if you're starting a YouTube channel, what are you building? You're building a personal brand. Now, I've seen a few questions come in, and people have been talking about faceless automation channels. I'm glad you're on the challenge. This stuff works for that as well, too. It's not going to be your personality, but your channel should still have a brand. Our 7R system works for faceless automation channels, but 99% of us probably watching this right now, you want to build a personal brand of some kind, right? You want to build a media brand. And branding includes these things no matter what. Sometimes faceless automation channels are more of a cash grab. But if you want to build something that lasts, you better know your values, your beliefs. What's the vision? What's the mission? What are these different aspects? That's number 2 of our 3 tips. Lastly, tip number 3. I can't believe I tried to do Chewbacca. That was, I need to practice. What is happening? All right, tip number 3. Here you go. Don't aim for perfect. Launch with good enough and refine your brand as you go. So listen now. I'm really glad and I hope you've taken some notes and you've done some deep thinking about how you're going to start your channel, what might help you stand out, what your 3 Ps are. But most of us probably still are like excited, but overwhelmed. Like, okay, but I'm still like, I don't know what niche though. I've narrowed it down to 3, but I'm not sure which one. I'm thinking about my personality, but now I'm overthinking my personality. Am I too much? Am I too much? You are. Just ask your boyfriend. You know what I mean? You're too much. All right. Am I too much? Like, but here's what I'm encouraging you is like, don't overthink it. Okay. You want to get some good information, some good data, use the 3P framework, think about your personality, think about some stuff. Should I include that in my video or not? I don't know. Give it a shot. You know what I mean? You might try to do Chewbacca and you might fail and literally do it on the internet in front of people. It just don't aim for perfect, launch with good enough, because here's what I've learned. Clarity usually doesn't come in one moment of epiphany. Clarity usually comes over months and years of consistency. It's not usually a moment of epiphany. It's years of consistency. And it's revisiting the 3P framework. And it's thinking about your personality. It's kind of doing the work. There's been seasons where I've also kind of forgotten. I got so into ranking videos, which we'll talk a lot about tomorrow, where I just started to kind of like follow a script. And it wasn't bad. Like the information was good. But like sometimes I forgot that my real personality is like trying to do a Chewbacca voice. You know, it's just like, it's dad jokes and stuff. Like, you know, talk to anybody on the Think Media team. It's chaos, you know, it's just, and so sometimes we can get so serious and rigid and like my brand colors have to be this exactly. And it's like, dude, who cares? You know, what if my website's not perfect? Dude, I don't know. It can be a process. So the principle is don't aim for perfect, launch with good enough, and then refine your brand as you go. I feel like my brand's getting a little bit better. I'm like 17 years into this, you know, Think Media is going to experience its 10-year anniversary. And yet I still find myself being like, what even am I doing with my life? You know, what do we do? What are our brand colors? I said that to Kyle in Slack the other day. I was like, how about we have a brand guide? Maybe we do. I don't even know, because we had like an editor and I was like, what are these fonts? What are our fonts? And then I was overthinking fonts. Next thing you know, you're thinking about fonts so long, like you're getting nothing done. So do not aim for perfect, launch with good enough, and refine your brand as you go. You know, this makes me think about how this has happened in my journey. You know, the breakthrough for me came when I realized my true intersection point. While I had many interests, and I told you about those earlier, my real experience was in video production, specifically the work I'd done for my local church. And in 2003, I was doing video for my local church. Not only was I passionate about it, but eventually I had years of experience doing it, right? And I wanted to share that. So in 2010, I posted my first video on Think Media, and I didn't aim for perfect. I launched with good enough, and I made a lot of mistakes, but I kept learning and improving my content and clarifying the focus of my brand and my channel. And that's how my passion and then proficiency and then profit aligned for me. It's kind of funny that it says no card. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but like, you know, there's no SD card in the camera. Didn't like invalidate the point, but you know, just a little attention to detail on this screenshot. But here's what happened. Once I aligned my content with the 3 elements, my channel gained a clear identity. Content planning became easier. If you're struggling with content planning, it's actually probably because you need to do some clarity work. Because once you lock this in, you're like, ooh, there's the ideas. Bah, 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 bah. There's the serious, like this next video series. That series flows out of clarity, like what videos to make next. Audience growth becomes more consistent. Monetization opportunities emerge naturally. So my question for you is, where do your passion, proficiency, and profit potential intersect? Where do your passion, proficiency, and profit potential intersect? That's where your YouTube success story begins. And that's how you take your YouTube channel to entirely new heights. Now, this is our second session, and we did stream this session on our Think Media podcast channel. Shout out, smash like if you got value today. But register if you want to get the next 3 sessions that we're going to go deeper into this stuff. Tomorrow, we are talking about our 7-step VRA system, sharing some new stuff that I haven't shared before, but that's happening inside of our circle group and inside of our 3rd session. If you go to the show notes, make sure you're registered at tube1kchallenge.com. But let's recap what we learned. The 3P framework unlocks your perfect content formula. 2, let your authentic personality shine. That is your superpower. 3, focus on being uniquely you, not just better than others, because you can't be better than others. You were born an original. Don't die a copy. You want to be yourself and find that unique slingshot that God has given you. And number 4, start creating now and then polish as you grow. Use all the stuff we talked about, please. I'll use all the stuff we've talked about, but don't get stuck overthinking it too much. Just keep using it. 1% better each day, 1% better each week. You're going to be blown away by consistency paired with continuous refinement of your message, your skills, your brand, how far you can be in the next 2 months, in the next 2 years, as you continue to use these tips. And then in session number 3, our 3rd session, we have a brand new quick tip that we're going to be sharing. Plus, you're going to learn my complete 7-step system for turning these principles into real results. And you're going to get the exact blueprint that helped me scale multiple different YouTube channels and that our students have been using as well. So that's at tube1kchallenge.com for our free 5-day YouTube challenge.